It's a tune called Still Lake at Morning, and it is inspired by the experience of being in nature and wondering, especially in the feeling of like being in an old place, sort of the austere reverence of that, and all the people who've been there before and all their stories you don't even know about. Still lake at morning, mind a blank canvas. What life will you paint today? Lake waves like moments, ripples in time, shimmering water, and sunrise is high across the ages. Stories forgotten, thousands of people have been here before. The face in the water is yours and is mine. Our faces mirrored within the blue. Infinite footsteps, time's subtle gestures, what paths have crossed and faded away. These corners of space cannot fathom the memories contained within the rock, the stream, the sky. Across the ages, faces forgotten, thousands of people have passed here before. The face in the water is yours, it is mine. Our faces mirrored within the blue. Within the blue.
Welcome everyone to our Fellowship for Today Spiritual Center Sunday service. We are so glad to have you all with us today. It's just such a wonderful feeling to have our community come together in this virtual way every Sunday afternoon. So thank you for joining us. I want to say thank you too to Eldon Kelly for that beautiful song. He is such an amazing musician and artist, and we appreciate so much him that he is sharing his work with us today. So let's begin in these first moments of our service by sharing in a meditation together. I want to invite all of you to close your eyes, and this will be a time of relaxation where we can just let the busyness of the day go and focus in this moment right now. Let your shoulders drop, and let's place our hands on our heart so that that will really help us focus on this heart space, this sacred heart space within. And let's take 2 deep breaths together. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And this just feels so good to let out any stress or worries or busyness of the day. Just lay that down for the time that we're sharing here together. As we come together, co-creating spiritual community, we are learning to love and forgive, feel and express appreciation. We journey together on this path of awakening to our true selves, our own true nature. And we know to the very depths of our being that we live, move, and have our being in an all-encompassing oneness and love that holds us eternally, that surrounds us and moves through us into this human experience. Living in this awareness, we see the reflection of this pure, pure love in everyone, and recognize this light, this energy responding to us from everyone, every circumstance, condition, and experience. We share in the giving and receiving of open-hearted love with all beings. And our impact is felt throughout the universe. We are so, so deeply grateful for our fellowship community, and so grateful to all those who have, are, and will hold our hands as we walk each other home. These divine, loving beings holding our hands. And together we say, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you so much. I have a reading for us this afternoon from, again, one of my favorite little books called This Thing Called You, written by Ernest Holmes, author of Science of Mind. And in this wonderful little book, Ernest Holmes reminds us, the life of the eternal spirit is my life. The infinite riches of its being are mine to enjoy. the vitality, the wisdom, and the peace of God are mine. I accept them in fullness, in joy, and in peace. As you enter into life, feeling the divine presence in everything, more and more you will hear a song of joy singing at the center of your being. You have only to be still and listen to this song of life, for it is always there.
Mine is the church where everybody's welcome. I know it's true, 'cause I got through the door. We are a dazzling bouquet of every kind of flower. Jump in the vase, 'cause we got space for more.
Come here, all you 6-foot gladiolas. Come on, you purple lilac shining bright. Come, let us all bloom together in one garden. A carnival of fragrance and delight.
Mine is the church where everybody's welcome. I know it's true, 'cause I got through the door. We are a dazzling bouquet of every kind of flower. Jump in the vase, 'cause we got space for more. We don't simply tolerate each other. We ask until we don't just turn away. We give attention to every bud and blossom. Let every face come grace and breath bouquet. Mine is the church where everybody's welcome. I know it's true, 'cause I got through the door. We are a dazzling bouquet of every kind of flower. Jump in the vase, 'cause we got space for more.
Demons keep trying to divide us. They document their lies to make them true. Today we're freed from all judging and excluding. Just look around, enjoy this lovely view.
Mine is the church where everybody's welcome. I know it's true, 'cause I got through the door. We are a dazzling bouquet of every kind of flower. Jump in the vase, 'cause we got space for more. One more time, go! Mine is the church where everybody's welcome. I know it's true, 'cause I got through the door. We are a dazzling bouquet of every kind of flower. Jump in the vase, 'cause we got space. Jump in the vase, 'cause we got space. Jump in the vase, 'cause we got space. Oh.
Thank you so much, Dangling Participles, for that wonderful new song that you've shared with us. It's just a perfect song for the fellowship because everyone is welcome here and has always been and always will be. We are a community of true inclusiveness, and so thank you for sharing that perfect song with us. So let's take an important moment to bless our tithes and offerings. We take this moment to stop and go within, remembering that we are abundance. And our abundance is a reflection of the Divine One. It brings to us, multiplies all of the abundance in our life, whether it's financially or just all of the love that we share with friends and family, everything that's good and beautiful in our lives is a result of the Divine One working through us. And so we say thank you and bless the tithes and offerings that are contributed to the fellowship, to our wonderful spiritual community. We thank all of you so much for your generosity. And together we know that all of these contributions come together to allow us to be able to share and extend love throughout this universe. So I invite you right now to join me as we read our blessing of the tithes and offerings. You'll see that on the screen here. The light of divine love shines eternally, blessing and multiplying our tithes and offerings. I joyously give, knowing I always have enough to share and to spare. Thank you again for all of your loving donations. And now I'm really happy to introduce our speaker for this afternoon, our wonderful Reverend Julie Dillon. And I just want to thank her so much. She is such a beautiful, loving soul. And we can tell when she brings us a message that it is so heartfelt, that her goal is to provide us with some inspiration and wonderful recommendations and suggestions about things that we can do to implement love in our lives. And we thank her so much. She is just a beautiful shining light, and we're so grateful to have her as part of the fellowship community. So let's listen to Reverend Julie Dillon's message of love.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Oh, it's so good to be here. So wonderful to be here. I am going to start today with a story from Holly Holden, and she's a Course in Miracles spiritual teacher that I have been listening to and in her workshop. And in one of her recent talks, she mentioned that she's reading a book on centering prayer by Cynthia Bourgeault. And in this book, she mentions a story of a nun who is just starting out learning centering prayer, and the first exercise is 20 minutes of practice. And at that time, she came up to Father Thomas Keaton and said how upset she was that she was failing terribly in this practice, because within that 20 minutes, she had 10,000 thoughts coming in. And Father Thomas Keaton, the leader of the workshop, just responded, "How lovely. You have over 10,000 thoughts, 10,000 opportunities to return to God." How lovely. 10,000 opportunities to return to God. I love hearing that story. And it's just such a good reminder that we can get to smile at our humanness. And we get to keep coming back to God, to love. And it is a discipline. And the word discipline comes from the word disciple. And I also really love the idea to do things in a disciplined way means we actually get to spend time with the teacher that loves us. Coming back to God. So that will be really the main focus of the talk. We can also use the word love, or the universe, or Divine Mother, whatever you feel more called to use. And I can speak for myself how important it is to make coming back to God a daily practice, not just an occasional one. I think it's so easy for those thoughts of separation, our ego-based thoughts, any kind of fear-based thoughts, they can just come spiraling in at any time, just like in the story with the woman with over 10,000 thoughts in 20 minutes. Hafiz, the well-known Persian poet who lived in the 1300s, tells us how important it is to make love a daily practice. And in his poem, it's called, I Know the Way You Can Get. I'll recite it. When you have not had a drink of love, your face hardens, your sweet muscles cramp. Children become concerned about a strange look that appears in your eyes, which even begins to worry your mirror and your nose. Squirrels and birds sense your sadness and call an important conference in a tall tree. They decide which secret code to chant to help your mind and soul. I think this just sums up how important to just keep coming back. The more we practice in meditation, we can do that more in our everyday lives. It strengthens our muscle to be a loving presence in this world. And I just suggest making love a daily practice. Just try to do something that reminds you that love is your true nature. And as we mentioned earlier, it's meditating, it's walking in the woods, singing, dancing, serving, volunteering, speaking up, journaling. I mean, we all have our different tools that we know that really help us, to really nourish us. So just important to use them. So listening to the voice of love and know that it is God's voice. Trust the voice of love and know it is your voice. The poet William Martin says, make your daily discipline to lay aside one little thing, a tiny fear, a simple preoccupation, a useless book, a piece of household clutter, a habit of avoidance, a bit of shame and guilt, a desire that distracts, and what will be left is love itself. How beautiful. Robert Holden, A Course in Miracles, spiritual teacher and author, he has what he calls an attunement practice, which he calls 100 breaths. And he does this daily. It's essentially, it's dedicating 100 breaths to love. And with each breath, you let yourself open up to the presence of love. You're tuning into a love that is already there, that's infinite, all-inclusive, that's a constant and everywhere. The love that created you. This love, the divine, is here for you and will bless you, guide you, and inspire you if you will allow it. I love that idea, how to start your day, just dedicating those 100 breaths to love. What a beautiful tool that he uses. And if it speaks to you, maybe it's something that you might add or try. And it's surrendering to love. And that takes me to this beautiful phrase that I learned in the School of Ministry a couple years back. And the phrase is, I surrender to the power and presence of love within me. So surrendering to the power and presence of God within you. And just that quick story here. As I said, I learned that in the ministry school. And we had an assignment, and it was to recite this short prayer, these phrases for 2 weeks. I believe, I should have checked first with Mary, but I'll do that later. And I'm sure it was for at least 2 weeks. And to recite it 100 times or for 5 minutes. And honestly, I thought this was really wasn't going to be that beneficial, I'll be honest. And it was, I kind of begrudgingly did it, and it was on a nice little bookmark. I remember putting it right on my dashboard. And at the time I was driving quite a bit for work, so I would see it. I would see it often. And I would do it. I'd go through, and it was, after a few days, I could feel the resistance kind of melting through my body. And I could feel how those words are truly sinking in, and how comforting and helpful. And to this day, I use those words. It's just this beautiful comfort I use so often throughout the day that those words come to me. So, okay, there are just so many wonderful ways to begin your day, right? With our spiritual practices, dedicating our day to love. For me, I love the Course in Miracles, the truly helpful prayer. I call it a miracle prayer, which we'll have that put down. Actually, we'll write that down for you to have too in the Facebook, the feed there. And another course from Lesson 71. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? They're just so helpful for me as a start of my day and in my practices. And I'm just going to ask right now if there's some phrase or like a short prayer or some words that you use that are really inspirational to you. If you wouldn't mind maybe putting it right down into the comment sections, and love to. I know a few have shared, like, thy will be done, this too shall pass, St. Francis prayers. So this wonderful, I think I just recently read from St. Francis. I love this. He said, we should seek not so much to pray, but to become prayer. I just thought that was just such a lovely, lovely thought to really sink into. And how about other ideas, movement practices? You're reading the spiritual guides, their teachings, their religious readings, prayers, just so much. And I know for me, Zoom meditations is something new, and I'm really enjoying a group from Scotland, which is it's something I honestly never thought I would be doing, and I'm feeling that energy so powerfully from the group. So just another idea of how you can maybe start your day with love. And if you might be struggling with the meditation practice, perhaps trying something like that, check out these guided meditations that are truly wonderful. Another way to start your day with love is, it might just be asking a question, and that could be the focus for your day. Is it, how could I be more loving? And then in part of your morning practice, and then just check in throughout the day, and then maybe review at night. How can I be kinder? How can I be more compassionate? No right or wrong way to do it, but just if something speaks to you, and just checking in. I find that checking in throughout the day, that's actually why I love the workbook lessons of the Course, because it really does help me to have some of that structure, and it's helping to offset all the negative thoughts that are also really present. Just refocusing to love, and as we know, those are the shifts where all the miracles are happening. Every day, every moment, we get to choose love. It's the basic spiritual practice of your life. Choosing love is to see that love is the highest purpose in every relationship. It's in the highest purpose in every situation and in every event. And if we're willing, love will use you. And our greatest, most important contribution we can make to any situation is to be a loving presence. And Robert Holden, in his book, Finding Love Everywhere, he states the term presence of love recognizes both that love is always present and that our original nature is the presence of love. So, and just remembering, taking in all these good spiritual practices, this spiritual nourishment is really our work here, right? And we get this here at the fellowship. So all these spiritual practices that we talked about, that energy, it just helps so much when those crazy, I call them the wonky, crazy human fear-based thoughts come popping in, as we know they will, right? They really help. They help so much. And I can tell personally, if I haven't done some of my practices, wow, where my thinking ends up going by noon, it's just not very pretty. So, and I think we all can really do know, and with so much going on in our world, that this is it's just an extra necessary, I think, true sacred time to commit to these practices, and when to pray, to meditate, to give thanks for all that we have, and whether it's slowing down how we're eating and being grateful for the food we have. I tell you, that can just start the day so differently than just rushing, getting out of bed, not listening to the alarm and just going right out into work or into your routine without giving yourself the gift of all these practices. And it's also, even in these fear-based thoughts that come up, and we know they will pop up, it also, if you have your practices, it helps you to recover and like coming back, right? Returning back. So really focusing there. A strategy I like to use, it's just when you notice one of the negative, maybe it's a resentment, a judgment, a thought. Robert Holden calls them the unholy trinity. It's when fear, guilt, and judgment. So when those thoughts come, we can switch back quicker. Smile at that thought. Let's really try to catch it early so we're not ruminating, and it becomes a much harder fear to deal with. It's a rejudgment or resentment. Notice that thought, do a quick forgiveness, and of the thought of yourself, and boy, you get right back into your day, and it's just so important not to really spend that time ruminating. And I'll share a story, a quick story of doing some forgiveness work in my meditation. And it was a resentment that I've been holding about a neighbor, and we just have a dispute over a tree kind of thing. Nothing, it's just something that's, it's there, it's real. As part of, in my forgiveness work practice, I've been just spending some time trying to let go and not carry around this resentment. And I for sure know it's not helping me. It's, and that energy I know I'm carrying, others can feel. So I have been just keep looking at that, and then I had the opportunity the day of the big snowstorm, and I happened to see this person, um, and I was really had done some work. I really want to emphasize that I've been really practicing this, and when I saw him, it was I could actually just say some nice words and mean it and truly mean it. And it was just, we were talking about our weather, and then I realized my snowblower, I went on and I was doing some shoveling, realized it's way too big for my shovel, so it's going to try to use my snowblower, and it wasn't working. So I went in to contact a friend to get some ideas of what I could do, and a few minutes later I heard this neighbor doing my drive with a much bigger snowblower and did this job just beautifully, and just an example of how these practices, if I hadn't been taking time in the morning and doing some of the practices, I don't think I ever could have gotten to the place just to see him and as a child of God. So this really, I think, speaks so much to the practices, and just allowing me to get rid of my stuff, and to truly to see this other human as their divine self. So the relationship now with my neighbor, I can really feel is just so much better. And it's such an important reminder to me of just remembering every time we experience attack or these fear-based thoughts and we know that are going to happen, just to keep asking, Holy Spirit, how do I see this differently? Doing our forgiveness work and trying to forgive these thoughts as quickly as we can. When we can catch them, that's where our growth lies, right? And not holding on to them. We are not our thoughts, right? We get to work on this, and we can then let them go. We're going to miss the mark often, and we just keep on letting go. God is truly not keeping a scorecard. We just get back up and choose again, and then get back up and choose again. Many, many, many times. And then just tying back to the beginning of the thought of the talk with the story that Cynthia Beaujour shared. It's just keep coming back to God and keep viewing our mistakes and any fear-based thoughts as opportunities to return to God. And just as Father Keaton said, 10,000 opportunities to return to love. Okay, and now we're going to do a short meditation. And I just invite you to close your eyes or perhaps gaze downward and just find a nice comfortable position. And sitting up tall but not rigid. And just taking a few slow, deep breaths. And with each breath, just relaxing more and more into this moment and into your body. And just leaving behind any thoughts, any emotions, any stress from the day. Just feeling your breath naturally moving into your body and moving out of your body. Maybe you could feel the presence of everyone who is watching today. Maybe feeling their hands, feeling their hearts, and their presence here on this live stream. It was just a short breathing exercise from Thich Nhat Hanh, and they're just 4 simple phrases, and I'll have you repeat them after me in your mind's eye. Inhale, I calm my body. Exhale, I smile. Inhale, dwelling in the present moment. Exhaling. What a wonderful moment. So we'll just repeat those phrases if that speaks to you. Inhale, I calm my body. Exhale, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment. What a wonderful moment. Inhale, I calm my body. Exhale, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment. What a wonderful moment. And today, let us affirm and be willing to be a loving presence in the world. And with love's help, let us be an instrument of love in whatever you do. And so it is. Thanks. Much love.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Thank you so much to everyone who contributed to this really wonderful service, this beautiful, inspirational, and uplifting service that leaves us in such a beautiful place as we begin our week. Thank you to Eldon Kelly, Dangling Participles, and our wonderful Reverend Lucille Olson. Your song, Our Thoughts, Our Prayers, will just live on at the fellowship and is the very core of our fellowship teaching. So we thank you, and it was so wonderful to hear your voice and sing that song again today. And thank you, Reverend Julie Dillon. We appreciate you so much. Please, please know that. And we will take these suggestions with us and put them to use in our lives. In fact, she wanted me to remind everyone that there will be a printout that you can download and print out on your printer with all of the prayers and suggestions and recommendations that she provided today that I think is going to be a really nice tool for you. So thank you, everyone. I just have a couple of announcements today. The steering committee is requesting your vote on 2 new steering committee members. You should have received an email yesterday. You'll also have another opportunity to vote in the e-announcements coming up on Tuesday. And you'll have 2 weeks to get us your vote. And please know how much your participation is appreciated. Your input in the fellowship, in our fellowship community is so, so important, and we value you all so much. I also want to let everyone know that Reverend Sue Quinn's walk at Waldemar is coming up this next Sunday, March 7th, 12:30. And we've all been experiencing some of these wonderful glimpses of spring. In fact, I just saw some flowers shooting up through the ground yesterday. It's kind of exciting to see, and gives us that real sense of hope and knowing that spring is on its way. This will be a wonderful opportunity to share in that experience with our Reverend Sue Quinn. So now it is time to end our service with our Peace Circle. This is such a wonderful, wonderful time when we end our service with this loving energy that we create in our huge, huge virtual Peace Circle. So we stretch out our arms and grasp our neighbor's hand in ours and sing our peace song together. And then we'll end with our closing blessing. The words will be on the screen. I just want you all to know how much you are loved and treasured, and so grateful to have you join us today. So thank you again. I know that we've provided something for each and every one of you to take into your week and make use of. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you next Sunday.